And get all of these things cleared off the screen. And I wanted to bring some value to you in your day, that you can use to help grow your business. And I know that we're probably all in a similar situation where we're home and we're maybe multitasking. So you are good to have your camera off, to be on the background for this team meeting. You want to be able to see the screen, but much more importantly, you want to be able to hear the conversations that we're having today. I've got a couple of goodies that we're going to be streaming to help you do two things, right? We're going to be looking at helping you get more buyers under contract, and ever so important, especially right now, take more listings, right? So let's go through some updates really quick. I want you to pull out your calendars, save the date, right? Ignite is going on now. It is Monday, Tuesdays, and Thursdays from 9 to noon-ish, or a little less than that. Some days I know we've got shorter sessions than others, but 9 to noon, we're doing that on Zoom and in the training room. So come on into the Market Center on those mornings. We'll be going for the next few weeks for Ignite. If you've already missed the first couple of sessions, it's okay. You can catch up on those on demand. And it's not too late to get started. So there are many sessions in the Ignite journey, and these are some of the foundational principles of growing a big real estate business. This Friday, we have a couple of goodies coming up. Our friend Patrick Langhans is, let me pull it up. I know I've got the dates and times here somewhere. He's in the office on Friday from 12 to 1:30, talking about lending tips to help you win bidding wars, right? What can you do to set yourself aside and apart inside of the multiple offer situations? And also, how can you turn that financed offer into something that is as good as cash? Right. So there's going to be a ton of good stuff there. That is in person on Friday. Amy, do you know, I don't think this is going to be available remotely. I think you have to come in person. Is that the case?
You know, he didn't say specifically. So I will reach out and let him know, and I'll get that communication out to everybody.
Okay, better be safe than sorry. Just plan on coming in on Friday. The roads are going to be clear by then. It's going to be totally fine.
Yep.
You'll be fine. We'll just see. He's bringing lunch. I'm sure it's going to be delicious. So we'll see you on Friday in the Market Center. Let's see what else we have Friday. We also have Power Day. So before and after class, definitely hop on the Zoom and hop on the phone with us. It's a great day to be able to call your sphere, dial through some follow-up calls, have some camaraderie on the Zoom, so that you're not in it by yourself. So join us for Power Day on Friday. I am so excited to get to see you guys this weekend too. I never see you all on the weekends, and we get to spend Saturday night together celebrating you and what a big year you've had in 2021, and off to a great start this year as well. But our award ceremony is Saturday night. I look forward to seeing you all there. RSVPs are already in. So at this point, I'm sure you know if you're going to be there or not. And if you're going to be there, we're going to have such a good time celebrating with one another. Let's see, what else do we have? Join the conversation, get ready for your day, hop on the Zoom for scripts and role play 4 days a week from 8:30 to 9 a.m. This is hosted by our very own Brittany Hamrick, and a great way to warm up your vocal cords before you start talking to real live people for the day, right? Better to practice on our colleagues than it is to go out and practice on the general population. So 4 days a week, 8:30 to 9 o'clock, hop on the Zoom and get some scripts and role play in. the big news, the big conversation we're having is the special event that's coming up. And of course, I'm talking about family reunion. I know, you probably already have your tickets, but if you don't, this is how you're going to do it. Let me reacclimate my screen. Every time I share, I lose all of your pretty faces. And since I can see a few of you today, I want to at least pretend we're making eye contact and getting some FaceTime here. All right, family reunion. So what I want you to do is I want you to go to familyreunion.kw.com. It's that easy, familyreunion.kw.com. And you can learn more about what is the family reunion event. The agenda is posted. I don't think we have breakout sessions in here yet, but I want to show you where you'll be able to find them when we do, and what is a breakout session. So a family reunion is a combination. It's a large real estate convention, and it's a combination of main stage important updates and keynote speakers and small group breakout sessions. And those breakout sessions are really specific to whatever it is you're looking to improve or grow on in your business, right? Whether it's growing more leads in your business, whether it is taking more listings or the right kind of leverage for where you're going next, you're going to be able to find breakout sessions for all of that and more. And inside of the website, right, familyreunion.kw.com, you're going to be able to expand the agenda and see what's happening every single day. And you can even go into the breakouts. And as soon as the breakout sessions are posted here, you're going to be able to see them. And you can toggle between the in-person and the digital events, because you have the opportunity to participate in either one. In person, we're going to be in Orlando, Florida in just a couple of weeks. We have been promised no snow. It has never snowed there in our weather keeping history, right? So who knows, right? It's not going to snow. It's not going to snow in Orlando, for crying out loud. It might get cold, but we're not going to have any of that white stuff. We're going to leave it behind here in Colorado as we head to Florida for family reunion. So in-person tickets are still available. I will tell you, however, they are limited. They're capping the event capacity to ensure a really safe experience. And they've got a lot of different protocols in place to help make sure that you have a safe experience if you're going in person. Now, if you're attending digitally, huge value there. The digital prices right now are just $129 for your seat, which is incredible. And essentially what you're going to get is 4 whole days of live streamed content that you're then going to have access to for, usually it's 60 days after the event, right? So if you missed something or couldn't be in 2 places at once, you can go back to it. So today is a great day to be able to plan your family reunion trip. Whether it is, to Orlando or just to the sofa. Family reunion takes place the weekend of President's Day weekend, right? So it gets started really Saturday the 19th and wraps up on Tuesday the 22nd. So make sure you get that all booked. All right. Amy, what else do we have coming up that I might have missed?
We also have an opportunity to sign up for a new headshot coming up. I believe Danny will be in the office on Friday as well, February 4th. So if you need more information, we've sent it out via email, and I'm happy to send it to you if you need that again. So that's the only other thing I can think of.
And keep an eye out for that, because he's been in quite a bit over the last couple of months. This is his last visit for a while, right? So if you've been thinking about, oh, I need new headshots, get them done now. It's not like, oh, I'll just wait 2 weeks and he'll be back. No. we've used our allotment for a little while, so it may be a few months before we have somebody back doing headshots. So make sure you get that taken care of. All right. So let's switch gears. I want to start off with a revisiting a conversation that we had actually a little while ago. We had a special guest who's a national real estate like mega agent and superhuman, right? An amazing real estate coach, and somebody who is very, very good with using his language, right? So scripts and conversations, right? But this is, of course, my friend Denny Grimes. Denny was in I don't even know how long ago. I mean, it was a summer or two ago. Denny did a very special Zoom for our offices, for us in the Highlands Ranch office. And, you know, over the past couple of weeks, I've actually revisited this several times because he had such a powerful script in there to help your buyers think differently when approaching multiple offer situations. And because I've found value in revisiting this so much over the past few weeks and knowing exactly what's going on in the market right now, I thought you guys would find some value in it too. So I'll get the link for this to Amy. If you want to watch the entire session, we'll put it on the Facebook page, or we'll do something. But I've got just a few minutes here on this buyer script there we go, help you set the stage and manage that conversation for your buyers. In this way, you'd be able to win more often in multiple offer situations. So here we go. I'm gonna let Denny roll.
And the buyer role play I'd like to do, are you dealing with multiple offers, you guys?
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yes.
So here, how would you like to win in every multiple offer situation, even if your buyer doesn't?
Yes. Yes.
I'll do that first. So who would like to role play with me? And Jan, you're a great partner. So
Sure.
just you want to stay with me, Jan?
Oh, absolutely.
All right, you're a buyer. And what price range are you looking at?
Between 500 and 600.
All right, so I go and show you a home. And now that you've been on, maybe I've shown you a couple homes. Okay, so here's the thing I want you to write down. In the sweet spot market, and you know what's a sweet spot? This is a market that's going like this, right? Be careful on the words you use. I never use the word offer. Also, I never say the asking price is. I say the starting line is 450, 550. So, Jan, here's the thing. I'm sorry, write one more thing down. When working with buyers and sellers, I'm giving you like 15 courses, a niblet of 15 different courses in like one course. When I work with buyers and sellers, I never set prices, I set expectations. Never set prices, set expectations. Never set prices, set expectations. Because when you put a price on it, your DNA is involved in that transaction. And if that buyer doesn't get that house based on the number you said, they're going to many times be upset with you and then go to another agent. So I'm going to role play this, how you would do this with Jan. Jan, basically the home is on the market at $575,000. It's been on the market one day. Is this the house you want to own?
100%.
All right, now, awesome. Then let me ask you, I'll ask you the meat thermometer. Do you think the market's working in your favor or working against you?
I think the market's great right now. The interest rates are great, and it gives me more affordability, it gives me more buying power.
Okay, how do you evaluate the market from a seller standpoint?
I'm sure they're going to get multiple offers, and we need to come in at a best price.
Now isn't he cooperative? I wish I could can him. So let me ask you this. Now, do you have buyers asking you? So ask me what a buyer would ask you about what they should offer.
Jan, what should we offer? You
Well,
have that all the time. That's just number one question.
So, got it. So here's the thing I want to know, Jan. Do you want to make offers or do you want to own the home?
I want to own this home.
So the reason I say that is now this home is on the market. You know the market's moving fast. You saw it, you like it. What's the probability somebody else saw it and liked it?
A very high probability.
So you want me to give you the best advice?
Yes.
Offer the most you're willing to pay for the home. Bet if you lost it, you wouldn't lose sleep over it. The starting line is for $575. What's the most you're willing to pay for the home?
600.
Got it. Now here's the thing, you guys. You got to probe. All right, Jan, I understand 600. Let's assume now that you lose the home and you find out later that it sold for 600,500. How would you feel?
I feel terrible.
Why?
I lost it over $500.
Well, then that wasn't your best, then, was it?
No, it wasn't. You're right.
What's the best?
Just going back to think about it, maybe even 615, 610.
What's the number? Because you're only going to get one opportunity. This is not a tennis match. You will not get a counter. You will get a yes or a no.
You know, let's just go in at 625 max.
625. Now,
625.
guys, don't overthink this. I understand appraisal. Get out of your own way, will you? Sometimes the buyer would rather have the house and worry about the appraisal. Worry about the appraisal after they have control over the house, and stop doing escalators. That's almost a guarantee you're going to lose the house. Now, we'll talk about that if you want to. Escalation clauses.
You know, Danny, you just brought up a good fact, a good point there. I do about 90% of my business is listings, and you should see how many multiple offers I do receive, and how many agents on the other side that battle with me about appraisals. It's just amazing how I'll have 10 multiple offers, and out of those 10 multiple offers, 8 of them will tell me, well, you know, the property won't appraise. That was a good point. That was a good point right there.
Thank you. I'll be here all night. So here's the thing. So don't use escalation clauses. Here's the thing. Jan, you said 625, right?
Right.
What if you find out it sold for 625, 500?
I'd be okay.
You got to get to that point, guys. Never give them a number. And I know a lot of agents. I had an agent come up to me, Patrick, and said, and she was in Alaska, in Anchorage, and the last 3 things my buyers didn't get it. You know why? Because she was thumping her chest, attempting to help her buyers get it for the least amount possible, and they were losing everything. Let the buyer set the price, because they want a home, you know, and they'll be happy with you if they get the home. So 625. So if it sells for 625, 500, you're okay, right?
I'm okay with that. Absolutely.
Now, agents, Jan, you've got 20 plus years experience. Patrick, you've been around the other agents on this call. Now, if they don't get the house, do you have any fingerprints on that?
No.
No, you do not.
No.
That is the only way you're blameless. Now, we're not done yet. You got to cover the other side. All right, I've got one more question for you, Jan. Let's go get about buying this house, okay? Let's say you win the bidding, the auction. It's a sealed bid auction. You win at 625. Congratulations. This is hypothetical, because you may not win. Let's just say you do. 2 months after you move into the home, you're at Piggly Wiggly, and you see the seller in front of you, and he doesn't recognize you because he's 2 people in front of you. And this is what you hear the former seller say to the cashier. Gosh, you wouldn't believe this market. I listed at 575, had multiple offers. I mean, I had an offer at 600. Then all of a sudden, somebody came in at 625. I mean, $25,000 higher than the best offer. Like, this is a gold mine. How do you feel?
I feel great.
You guys, now somebody tell me why you would ask that question. Why do you cover both ends, winning and losing?
Because you don't want them to be upset with you after if they find out that they paid considerably more than they might have.
There you go. Because here's the thing, and this is recorded. You probably won't get this on the first go around. Here's the thing. This is a script for a buyer. What's the greater pain, Jan? You offering less than you're willing to pay and not getting the house, or offering more than the seller was willing to accept, or higher than more than the best offer and getting the house. Which one is the greater pain?
Not getting the house.
There you go. In this market, you guys, get out of your way. Help the buyers own the house. Quit this appraisal talk, because the most of the buyers that I work with that have the cash, the appraisal doesn't mean that much to them. They'll add the cash to do it, because based on the way the market's moving, if they don't get that house, the next house will be that plus something. Yeah. Now, any ahas on that?
What do you guys take away from that conversation? Get any nuggets?
I remember when,
Go ahead.
I remember when there was, when he came and he talked about that overhearing at the grocery store, and I use that all the time. Because it is really important to make sure that whether they lose it or they win it, there's both sides of that to overhear at the store. I would have accepted less. I would have, or I accepted X and they lost and it was a smidge over. And then if they won and they would have taken way less. So anyway, I use it all the time.
And I love that. Well, because what that does is it takes you out of that scenario too. It's no longer, my agent caused me to overpay for this, right? They're in the driver's seat on that, and they can future pace how they would feel in both situations and really get in the right frame of mind. You know, I asked yesterday to our ALC and some of our top agents, who's winning right now, who's getting their clients under contract. And you raised your hand. You said that's going pretty well for you. You got 2 under contract right now.
Yep.
So framing that conversation for your buyers. What else did you guys get? What other nuggets did you take from this?
I think changing the words around from list price or contract price to starting line completely 180 degrees flips buyers' expectations. Right? 475 is our starting line. It's not list price.
Yeah. It's not
Right.
list price. It's not asking price.
No, and it helps with the conversation when I talk with buyers and they say, okay, it's listed at 475. They think because that's the list price, that's the actual value of the property. And it's not. It's 100% not the value of the property, right? Change it to starting line so that it makes the conversation easier. That look, whoever ends up buying this property is the person that determines the value of it, not list price, right? So here's the starting line. What do you want to do?
Yeah. What else, guys?
I agree with Ricky of what he just said, because I'm about ready to start a search for a new buyer, and I'm going to put in the search about $50,000 under, and it makes it easier to talk with my buyer on why we're doing that, because that's the starting line. I don't want to put you in the houses that you're not going to be able to get.
Yeah. 100%. And Jimmy, when you take them out, you're not writing offers on houses, right? You're going to go buy a house. And that really stands out. He starts the conversation that way, right? Do you want to offer on this home, or do you want to own this home? And it changes the mindset. It helps you. I think it helps your buyer be in a different mindset too, that they're going into this. They're not going into this to write offers, right? That's not their intention. Their intention is to buy that home. And are they thinking that way? And are they doing the things to help them own that property? Cool. Helpful conversation today?
Very, very.
Good. Yeah, especially Jimmy, if you're about to head out with some buyers. We're going to get this up on the Facebook page. This conversation starts about 46 minutes in. So imagine what the previous 46 minutes were like, right? Really good conversations. I encourage you to watch the whole thing. And we'll get all of that up. Let's switch gears here a little bit, because it is listing season, right? It's started. This is it, right? People who are waiting for the spring to sell should sell now, right? I mean, this is a big deal. The market's kind of in this weird flux where there's just not enough inventory to support the activity. So prices are going up early this year. Appreciation is big and interest rates are rising right along with it. This will not continue for a really long time. And yet, do your people know this? Do they know that even since last year, they may have another 10, 15, 20% appreciation in their property? Last year we had great success and great collaboration as an office around the golden letter. And that conversation is phenomenal, and it's a great way to help identify those sellers. But what about people already in your sphere? What about your past clients? What about folks who may not understand the value of their market increase right now? And that's where we look at the equity analysis. And James Shaw, the famous James Shaw, right, from the Pivot Shift Ahead page, the big deal, bold coach, all of those things, on his page, he's calling this 2022's golden letter, right? So this is the big conversation to be having with sellers right now. And he walks through this conversation with a few top agents who are having a ton of success right now using an equity analysis to win more listings. So that's what I bring you next. Let's talk about the equity analysis to help you get more listings. And then we're going to wrap up after watching the video with some ahas, takeaways, and some variations. Like, how could you make this process your own and really, really nail it with your people? Let's dive in.
Bring it to you on Connect Live and Pivot Shift Ahead. And that's what we're doing today. It's all about the equity analysis. It's 2022's golden letter. You remember the golden letter from last year. Everybody got crazy, sent all the letters out and getting all the stamps and all the envelopes and all the whoosy whatsies and sending them out. And it worked. It got people listings. And so people said, well, what do I do in 2022? And we looked it up. And 2022 is the year of the equity analysis. And that's what we're going to talk about today. And we have three ladies who have absolutely crushed the equity analysis, and it's turning into listings for them. I'm excited to have Linda and Chris and Vishay with us today. Let's get to know them. Vishay, we'll start with you. Tell us who you are, where you do business, and a little bit about you. Go ahead.
Yes, I am super honored to be here. My name is Vishay Chevalier. I am based out of Houston, Texas, with an expansion team in New Orleans, Louisiana. I am a MAPS group coach and a MAPS bold coach.
We're so excited to have you. By the way, you're at the airport because you're flying you're flying to go do Bold in Maryland, and their flight was late. So you're like sitting at the car rental place doing this. So thank you for making it happen. This is what bold coaches do and all the stuff they go through. So thank you, Vishay, so much. Chris, tell us who you are and where you're from.
Hi, thanks for having me today. I am Chris Ruskowitz from Keller Williams Realty, Milwaukee Southwest. I have been privileged to help families buy and sell homes for now 28 years this month. I'm also an active investor in the Market Center and the compliance broker.
You got lots of stuff going on and doing a great job. We're happy to have you. Thanks, Chris. And finally, Linda, introduce yourself. Tell us who you are, where you're from.
Hi, I'm Linda Brennan. I am in Wellington, Florida, Western Palm Beach County. And I am a team leader for my team, which consists of me, my husband, a buyer's agent, and an admin. And I serve on the ALC, and I'm in my 17th year.
Great. Awesome. Well, we're happy to have all three of you. Vishay, I want to start with you because you introduced this concept of the equity analysis to me, and really it's taken off in Pivot Shift Ahead. In fact, this year we've challenged everybody, just do one a day. So Vishay, take a second. For those who don't know, some people like equity analysis. I've not heard of that. I don't know what that is. Explain the concept of an equity analysis and what it is. Would you do that for us?
Absolutely. So the equity analysis is basically what they actually can walk away from their home should they sell. So what I did was I took the golden letter and kind of tweaked it and played around with it until I got something that really, really worked. So I went through all of my database records, everybody I've ever purchased a home with, and I looked at what they bought it for because of course we don't know what they owe. So I looked at what they bought it for. And then I looked at the market trends in their community and I put a midpoint. So if you list your house with me today, this is what you can potentially walk away with. And it could be a lot more based on what you actually owe. And so I started mailing that letter out and the calls start coming in.
They did. Yeah, actually, you were telling me your team in Houston did 74 transactions last year, $23 million in volume. You took 32 listings, and 21 of those listings were from the equity analysis, Vishay.
Yes. I literally leveled up last year, 2019, you know, when the pandemic hit. I was finding my way and revamping the team and dealing with COVID. And I was like, okay, what I need to do something at a much higher level. And I said, okay, let's focus 100% on listings. And so that's what we did. We just started focusing on listings, showing people the value, and it just went crazy.
This is clearly your number one strategy for listings. If you took 32 and 21 of them were from the equity analysis, choosing to lean into this idea has totally changed your business. If you look, you went from 38 sold units in 2020 to 74 sold units in 2021. This has had a massive impact on your business.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's great. Okay, Chris, I want to come to you because you've really used this as well. And you're being very purposeful about reaching out to your database to walk through this, similar to what Vishay is doing. Vishay's sending a letter. Chris, you're calling them. Tell us a little bit about what you're doing.
Yeah, so I started out just calling, and what I did was I had my assistant do a search by anniversary date, and so home anniversary date, and I had her create a spreadsheet of those that had bought between 3 to 10 years prior, and then went through the list and evaluated who's most likely to want to make a move up, who was a first-time buyer, and I just started calling them. And last year, that created 17 transactions for us. This year, I've now tweaked it, and I'm using the DTD2 system. And so I now is sending an email the Friday before that week's group to call. And it's just a quick text that just says, hey, you know, just checking in, you know, thought you might want to know the current value of your home. Would that be of value to you? So I'm getting people coming to me in that specific group that I'm already calling. I know ahead of time who I'm going to do that equity analysis for. I know the house. I can have a net proceeds sheet done, and then I'm calling them and scheduling Zoom calls. And in January, I was actually out sick 2 weeks, but I still did 9 Zooms. And of that, I got 5 appointments set. And I got 3 listings out of it, and I have 2 more appointments from that this week. Both are ready to sell.
All right, so there's a lot there, Chris. You gave us a lot. So we're going to slow it down. We're going to unpack it a tiny bit. The way you started this equity analysis, when you first heard about it, we had, of course, talked about it on the mastermind call. Many of you guys know this in this group, that we do a daily call, 8 a.m. Eastern time, Monday through Friday, and Pivot Shift Ahead. It's open to anybody. PivotShiftCall.com is how you join the Zoom. And Chris, we brought this up because Vishay told me about it. So we brought it up on that call, and you go implement right away. And you were very strategic. You said, all right, I'm going to look in my database, people who've been, what'd you say, 3 to 10 years in their house?
Yes.
What was magic about that window? Why did you pick, why not just call everybody? When you started, what was that 3 to 10? Why was that important?
I picked that window because we knew that equity increase had been skyrocketing. Those that bought in 2010, you know, before things started to pick up again, bought low. I knew they would have a lot of equity in their homes that they wouldn't know unless I told them. And those that bought even 3 years ago had quite a bit of equity increase. And I wanted to target the people that I knew had a lot of growth and that were most likely to make a move.
Okay, so that's why you picked that group. And then you would call them, is my understanding. You would call and ask them to hop on a Zoom to review this. What did that conversation sound like?
Actually, it was a pretty easy call. It was mostly a care call. And oh, by the way, would you be interested in knowing the current value of your home? I think you'd be quite shocked to know what it is. Everybody says, well, of course I would love to. Great, let's go and let's get on a quick Zoom. Do you have time now? Because I already had the equity, analysis done, and we'd just get on the Zoom, and everybody was shocked. Like, I have that much equity? Because I would always ask, how much do you owe? Do a quick net. So it was a pretty simple start out with a care call and an, oh, by the way, would you be interested in knowing the value of your current home?
Absolutely fascinating. And we're going to talk about like how you kind of come up with this data in a little bit, but I want to start at the beginning because it's a really good place to start. And so we're walking through the strategy of what you're doing. And then you said you went to the DTD2 for this year. Now, for those of you watching don't know what that is, we've learned this from Steve Schlueter and Tammy Youngst in their Never Ending Referrals program from MAPS, where this is 2 letters of the alphabet by last name every single week. They teach it in bold, Vichet, as you know. And so now you're just following that schedule. And it sounds like to me, you're calling or you're texting everybody with that last name. Hey, would you be interested in this? I'm going to reach out next week. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Yes.
All right. So let's go to Linda. Linda, I'm excited to hear from you because I'm sure you're doing some similar things and maybe some things that are a little bit different. Tell us a little bit about your strategy because it's worked really well for you too.
Thank you, James. Thank you for the opportunity. I have. So I've always used the RPR valuation in my listing presentation, and I use it as an auto value.
Hold on, time out. Now we're using more letters. People get confused when we use all the fancy letters. So tell them about the RPR, because this is something that most likely everybody who's watching this has access to and they may not know. So tell us about the RPR.
Okay, so that's the Realtor's Property Resource. And I choose that as an auto value. I know you can go in and you can adjust it to, but I like to do that outside of that in the MLS. So I just do it as an auto value, and it provides a really nice, well-written report with charts and graphs, and I use that. And then I go into my MLS and I run my own comps and I make my adjustments by hand so that they can see me doing the work, kind of like in math class, see the work there. And that way, to me, it feels like I'm proving to them why they need me because I'm giving them more information than they can find on their own.
Shows that you understand the market.
Right. This year I did it for my VIP database, which was a whole different feel because I knew the house, I knew the person, so I could customize it to their specific needs. And that led to conversations that I don't think I would have had if I hadn't started there.
What have your results been now that you've been doing this? You go in and do your RPR, which by the way is a tool that if you're a member of the National Association of Realtors, which nearly every person watching this is, you have access to this tool. So you're using that tool to go do an evaluation. You're then logging in the MLS and kind of doing a quick CMA and showing them the work. That sounds pretty labor intensive.
It's not really, because I got my admin to pull all the RPR reports because it's just putting in an address. And then, to do a CMA for myself really shouldn't take me much more than 30 minutes, even less really. But so if it's going to result in a listing, to me, that's worth the time.
Well, and how many listings has it turned into, Linda?
Well, I've done it in a lot of different ways. I just had a listing. So one of the other ways was I needed a rental and I needed a rental for a customer that I sold their house. So I was getting frustrated because I couldn't find anything. So I decided to look up landlords that their primary residence was in New York. They rented their Florida property 8 months ago. And I sent them, the report on the comps. And I said, and a letter stating what my need was, that I could help them find a renter. And it turned into a listing appointment for a $950,000 home. So, and I just met with them the other day. They're still thinking about it, but they had no idea what the market was like. They had no idea on the building that's going on down here, and they hadn't seen their property in a couple of years.
That is absolutely fascinating. Okay, so Vishay, I want you to help with this because we had a great question from Glenda. She's watching on Pivot Shift Ahead on Facebook, and she said, all right, look, I don't have any past clients. I don't have people to reach out to and check in on that I sold houses to, several years ago. Vishay, as a coach and an agent, what would your recommendation be to an agent like Glenda?
Number one would be to pick up your phone. I call it my percolator. So pick up your phone. I'm sure you have hundreds of people in your phone that you can start there and warm those conversations up and reintroduce yourself, re-engage, and ask for the business. Don't be a secret agent. And then once you went through your entire phone, start going on Facebook, all of your social media accounts, because this is the thing. I call them creepers. We allow all these creepers into our life, and they're looking at everything that we do on our Facebook page. We don't know them yet. We don't ask them for the business. So it's a little button on there that you can just call them through Facebook and just start engaging in conversations. And then that way you can find out who needs to be in there and who does not. And then go to every social media account and you can even upload them. It's a way that you can upload your social media straight into your command and then just start making those calls.
All right. So reach out to everybody, because many people that you know own a home and they probably have equity in it. Chris, what advice would you give about how to know who to call and when to call and what to say and all that kind of stuff, Chris?
I think that the best advice is to go through the group that you're calling that week, or do a search and find those people that are either, if they bought with you, if they were first-time buyers and they said this is not our forever home, they don't know how much equity they have and they were quite shocked, or anybody back that's been in their home for 10 years. They're most likely to be thinking of moving, and you just have to have the conversation. Look, here's how much equity you have, and you typically don't realize it, and then be prepared to have the conversation about asking the question, where are we going to go?
Okay, well then, okay, this is good, because people do. You call them and they find out they've got $100,000 of equity in their house. Excuse me, they have no idea. I'm all choked up about it. They had no idea they had that much money in their house, and they want to take advantage of that. Rates are still historically low. They've got free money, basically, right? I was talking to my wife the other day. The house we're in now, we bought from the equity from the previous house, which we bought from the equity from the previous house, which we put $5,000 down on, right? So our $5,000 has turned into a house now that my agent keeps calling me and says I can get $725,000 for it, but it only cost me $5,000, 10 years ago to start this process. So they go learn, they got all this cash money records in their house, but then they go, Chris, where am I going to go? Sure, I want to take advantage of that, but now what? What's your conversation like with that?
Well, the question is, well, where do you want to go? Find out what's important to them. And then I always suggest first to have a conversation with my preferred lender, because last year, all 17 of those sellers that moved, every single one of them was able to buy without selling. And so then I'd say, okay, you've got time. You can buy your new home without selling the existing home. So you don't have to worry about being homeless. As soon as you've got an accepted offer, we get through inspection, we're going to put your home on the market. All but one, and that one was by choice, had their home sold and were able to buy without even using that equity line of credit.
Wow. Linda, I'm curious for you, what has been the biggest surprise that you've seen in your business as you have really implemented this equity analysis concept? What's happened that surprised you, Linda?
I think what surprised me is how much I can use it in how many different ways. Because now, from one of the mega camps, I took away, get more out of what you're already doing. And so I'm looking at everything like door knocking. We've taken them door knocking when we're taking a listing, when we're going to invite them to the open house. Now we're taking the brochures from, after we sold and putting one in there and sending it to homes in the neighborhood. Like I said, I used it for a rental. We're talking to our database about home improvements or, upsizing, downsizing, maybe for to know your value because of insurance. It's leading into referrals, more because I guess maybe I'm giving them more ideas, but just using it in many different ways.
Lots of strategy for it. So it sounds like, and Linda, you correct me if I'm wrong, that just asking people, hey, are you curious about how much your home might be worth in today's market? That would be a really good question just to ask about just about anybody.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it usually comes up, anyway, because they're always curious about the market, but this just gives a little more in-depth conversation.
Vishay, so Linda says there's opportunity across multiple ways, not necessarily calling the database, but when she's door knocking for a listing, which is one of her strategies, and so on and so forth. What has been surprising to you about how the equity analysis is turning into business? Because again, I look at it, and you effectively doubled your business by going all in on the equity analysis.
Absolutely. I mean, it's mind blowing. What we say, James, success is simple, it's not easy. And most of the time we know what to do and we just don't do it. We let these fears stop us. And so everybody that you walk by is a potential client. It burns me when I'm in my neighborhood or neighborhoods of my family members and you see signs go up and they're not yours. And it just really hits home and say, you know what, I need to go door knock those clients. I need potential clients. I need to cold call those potential clients. I should need to be telling everyone I know and don't know that I sell real estate and show my value. Because if they're not listing with you, the reality is they're listing with someone else. And it's so much money being left on the table by agents having the fear of the unknown.
Yeah.
So I really applaud Linda and Chris for really just taking this to the next level. And I trust that people that are watching this and listening to this are going to just step out of their comfort zone and do it, because it's enough business for everybody to go out there and get their unfair share.
But Shay, this is great. And it also, I think about now, as I'm saying this, I got to remind you, you always have to follow the do not call policy in your market center and make sure that you're staying out of trouble. I don't want anybody getting in trouble. Don't call people you're not supposed to call, text people you're not supposed to text. Nobody's getting a fine. I mean, you will get a fine if you do it, so don't do it if you're not supposed to. And here's the thing, though, it seems like this would be a really good strategy for old expired listings. If you have people that expired 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 4 years ago, I mean, Vishay, you know that the number one reason a home goes off the market without selling is because it was overpriced. It's not overpriced anymore, probably. Now you got to follow the rules. Don't be texting people you're not supposed to text. Don't call people you're not supposed to call, and yet follow the rules. But there could be some opportunity there. Would you agree?
Absolutely. And here's another thing. We just did this literally a few days ago. My mom, she handles all of my little mail outs. You know, she's retired. I give her something to do. And so we kind of one up the just sold letter and kind of tied it with the equity analysis. And we just did that this past week and already got an immediate listing appointment. We're listing it Friday from that. So it's so much opportunity to take that and use it as a farming tool. And it takes just a little time. So use your admin, use your TC, use your ISA, whoever has the time and the ability to go out there and do the work and turn it into dollars. Like you say, cash money.
Yeah. And by the way, your market center should be able to give you access to the do not call list. And here's the thing I want you to hear, though. Don't start doing it with the expireds until you've done it with your database. Chris, this is a database first exercise is I think what you found the success in, going all in on that database. It's worked for you. 17 listings last year with more coming. You said this month, 9 appointments or 9 great conversations turned into 5 appointments and 3 listings, I think you said.
Well,
So
3
you have
listings and 2 more coming soon because the
2
other
more coming. All right, I don't want to short you
fine.
any listings, Chris. I don't want to short you any listings. What's the follow-up? So someone does this. What's the follow-up conversation look like?
After the equity analysis?
Yeah, so you've like you're saying, you had 9 appointments and
Right.
and you've got 3 listings taken and some more coming. What's your follow-up look like? Because I feel like they probably wouldn't go through this Zoom call with you to review their equity if they weren't at least somewhat intrigued about the possibility of selling. So what's the follow-up look like?
My follow-up is then to schedule an appointment for me to do a walkthrough and say, hey, I haven't been in your house in 5 years. It would be really good for me to come over, take a walk through, see all of the things that you've done, and then and talk about what it is, because that helps me really hone in on what it's worth, run the net proceeds and say, okay, so where do you want to move? And
that seems to be kind of your closing question. When they find out how much equity they have, your next question is, so where would you go? Where do you want to go?
Right.
Is that what you're saying next?
Yeah. Where do you want to go? Where do you want to be? Let's make it happen.
What are they telling you?
The first reaction is usually like, well, can I really find that because of the market? Absolutely. And then we have that conversation again about can you buy without selling? Do you have someplace that you could stay if your house did sold quickly? What does that look like for you? And in a perfect world, what does your next house look like? Have them describe it. And I've not had any pushback after that.
In Shift, Gary says, that this is the time, this is where your sales skills become exposed, and that this is the time for you to practice your conversations, engage in regular role play, and really kind of grow your skill set. Linda, how important is your skill? Chris is saying you got to know the right things to say. How important is that to you? Because you're calling people that have not raised their hand. They have not said, "Ooh, we want to sell." They haven't reached out to you and said, "Hey, my wife got a promotion and she's gonna, be the CEO of the hospital, and we got to get closer to the hospital." They're not raising their hand and saying that. You're calling them and saying, "Hey, if you can get X, do you want to sell?" How important is it to kind of know what to say and how to guide somebody through the conversation, Linda?
Well, I think that gets revealed as the conversation unfolds, because everybody's, reasons are different. Everybody has things that they want to do, but they just don't realize at the moment that they can do it. So I think it's helping them to discover their potential and what they can do with it.
I like that. Vishay, what would you say? How important is skill?
Oh my God, it's skill. You have to have skill. You have to have it. It is so important. If you don't have the skill, you won't get the listing.
Now when you send the letter, are you including a link or a QR code or something for people to respond online? What are you doing?
We do a combination of, we put our website address or we put the QR code, and it takes them straight to the website, to the part where you're searching for your find out what your home is worth page, the way it does the lead capture.
Got it. Okay. Chris, what about you for lead capture? You're calling and texting. Are you doing anything else?
I do not. The text goes out the Friday before, and I call everybody the next week.
Okay, got it. All right. So I want to put a bow on it. This has been really helpful, and you've really guided us through the systems. What's kind of Chris, we'll start with you, the final piece of advice or the final message you'd want to share with people about the value of doing this equity analysis with their database?
I think my biggest piece of advice is, even if the people you're talking to aren't looking to move, you're still bringing them value, and that's still going to generate business and referrals down the road. And so just do it. Everybody wants to know, they're grateful to know. And, if you're bringing value to them, you're going to get referrals out of it along with the listings.
So it may not turn into a piece of business from them, but the fact that you're staying in touch and reaching out and being proactive is creating other opportunities for you. So just go ahead and do it, is what you're saying.
Absolutely.
Linda, what's your final piece of advice or the final message you want everybody to hear?
I would say not to overthink it. It's been a process for me where we continue to add more to it. So we started out with a one-page report, and we've just added to it. So I would say don't overthink it, and you can improve as you go.
I like it. Vishay, what about you?
I would say just go out there and do it, and really practice your objection handlers and conversations, because you have to close the appointment. So many agents are not closing for the appointment, or they don't know what to say next once that potential lead calls them. So just do it and be ready for the call.
You got to be ready to close, and that's what Chris is doing. Chris, we got a message on Facebook, so I know we were wrapping it up, but we have bonus questions. We're going to go into overtime here on Connect Live and Pivot Shift Ahead today, because Kim asked a question on Facebook, and I want to get an answer. She says, after you text on Friday, because Chris, you're texting your people, your DTD2 list on Friday.
Yes.
After you text on Friday, do you call them the next week regardless whether or not they respond, or do you only call those who respond that they're interested?
I call them all.
Now, why is that so important? I knew that was the answer, by the way, but why is that so important?
To have, first of all, the care call, the quarterly touch call, and to say, hey, just quite curious, did you get my text? Sometimes I get that, yeah, I did, and I forgot to respond. Okay, well, are you interested in knowing what the value is of your home in the current market? And so that still generates more equity analysis being done.
And then are you doing a net sheet or anything like that? Or are you just running through like what Linda was saying, an RPR and a CMA? Or are you doing like a full net sheet, and what's your payoff and all that kind of stuff?
I do an entire full net sheet so that they can see the number, because that net proceeds number is what is the wow factor for them.
Yeah. How long does that Zoom appointment last? Because you're saying you're going, hey, let's jump on a Zoom and scheduling a time. And And it sounds like you might be doing the CMA after they've committed to get on with you. Is that right?
No, I do it before.
You're doing before. Okay, so you're purposeful about who you're calling. How long then is that Zoom appointment last?
Probably 20 minutes, unless they have a lot more questions, but typically it's 20 minutes. And if they're interested in moving forward, even if they think they are, that's when I schedule a walkthrough of the house, because I hadn't been there in a while.
Yeah.
So it doesn't
Right.
take a long time.
What do you guys think? Ahas, takeaways?
I would say I definitely like the equity analysis concept, and the market's changing just a little now. And so I think there's one other piece of information I've been talking to with people, and that's how the interest rates increasing about 0.5% since the beginning of the year. It's almost like they have the best of both worlds right now with their equity, and they're still, interest rates are low enough. So if they're going to sell and buy, they have that sweet spot going on, and it may not remain, because it's forecasted that interest rates may increase 1 or 2 more times this year. And also, if that happens and they're waiting to list, that's going to affect their buyer and their buyer pool. So a little more information is always helpful, instead of here's what equity you have. Then they might tend to think, oh, it's still growing and going, I'm sitting tight and I'm going to just wait and allow it to continue. So
Right. Yeah. I love that. So, gosh, I love that they all have different delivery methods for this equity analysis too. And I had big flashbacks. And equity analysis, I called it a home market evaluation, was a big part of my pop buy plan every year. And so, I have some. So I would deliver, once a year. I'd pop by. These are all of my favorite vendors, and they'd give me a coupon or a brochure or whatever, right? Because you're always looking for someone. So this was like my phone book, right? My handyman phone book, if you needed somebody. And I would add, let me see if I can share this guy. This window, well, there we go. All right, I would add my home market evaluation to it. So you can see it's super quick. And I would answer all of their questions, right? I would look up their house on all of the places they're looking up their house. And then I would do my quick market analysis and share with them kind of what that meant. If there was somebody who bought a home with me X numbers of years ago, right? What did that do to your house value? And as often as possible, I would ring the doorbell and deliver this in person. As a quick pop by, hey, I was in the neighborhood, I'm looking up house values, and I happen to have, some of my best vendors. I know this time of year, people are looking for carpet cleaners, or you might need to have your furnace serviced or whatever. I've got a discount for you in the package. And oh, by the way, have you seen what's happened with home values recently? Well, I took a couple of minutes and I looked at your house value. My brother-in-law had done some real estate with me, and he owned a couple of properties. And I remember popping by his house and delivering this to him, and he stood there and he was really quiet for a second. And then he looked back at me and he said, I guess I'm a millionaire. I delivered the information to him that let him know that his properties were valued over $1 million, right? It was a real aha moment there of how important this is, and how nobody knows. I mean, like, people casually track this stuff, but do they really know? So it's a huge opportunity to have a great touch with your sphere. It's a huge opportunity to get in front of your people. If you're looking for a reason for that DTD2 call, or you need that fuel to get behind your pop buys, it's a real easy and inexpensive way to do it. Or if you want to go in mass, like they're talking about, right? I mean, they're doing these market evaluations for strangers, getting them to respond via easy methods, right? QR codes and such. I think there's so much, this can be the foundation of such a great lead generation campaign. So happy snow day, you guys. Go take some listings, and we'll see y'all for Ignite tomorrow, for Patrick's class on Friday, or for the awards ceremony on Saturday. Have a good afternoon.